A very happy 65th birthday today.
Happy birthday!
Happy birthday!
Happy birthday, Kenny!
Happy birthday.
A mere youngster as well at 65.
Absolutely, a teenager by comparison with some of us, including me. There you go. So very happy birthday, Kenny, and we hope that you enjoy the quiz as well.
You mean
Okay,
he's only 65?
Remute folk, please.
You're muted, Ian.
Yeah, I didn't do the mute all.
Okay, it's all right. I have now unmuted myself. So, as with previous quizzes, we have 6 rounds this evening. And for each round, I will read the 10 questions out twice. And then at the end, if people want any question repeated, then they can ask and I'll repeat any of the questions for you again. I'll try to keep this at a reasonable pace, but if you need longer between questions, please just let me know. At the end of each round, once we've had any questions that people ask for repeated, I'll read out the answers and your teams will self-mark and then use the chat to send your score to Linda, who will keep the score on her spreadsheet for us. And after maybe the second and fourth rounds, we'll get Linda to put up the scores so far. And certainly after the 5th round, when there's only 1 to go, we'll get her to put the scores up so far. Tonight, I will not be sharing screen for any reason. There is no music round and there is no picture round. However, I do have a slightly different approach in one round, which will require teams to think very carefully. And I'll be giving more time between the questions in that one to enable you to correspond by private chat to Linda if you wish to do so. I'll explain the reason for that later. It's a bit of fun. So, unless anyone has any questions, I'll begin the quiz now. And as those who have been with us before will know, round 1 has tended to be something about these islands. And today it's, well, I started off to make the quiz natural features around these islands. But while I was doing the research, I came across 1 or 2 industrial links that I thought I had to include as well. So it's natural and industrial features around these islands. And question 1 is, which lengthy river rises on the eastern slope of Plinlimmon Ridge in Wales? Which lengthy river arises on the eastern slopes of Plinlimmon Ridge in Wales? Okay, if we are ready, I'll move on to question 2. What is the name of the first national park in Ireland, created in 1932? What is the name of the first national park in Ireland, created in 1932? Question number 3. On which Scottish island could you visit the Cuillin Mountains? That's spelled C-U-I-L-L-I-N. On which Scottish island could you visit the Cuillin Mountains? Number 4. What is the most southerly point on mainland Britain? What is the most southerly point on mainland Britain? Question number 5. What natural resource was mined at Llechwedd near Blaenau Ffestiniog and is still produced at Penrhyn? What natural resource was mined at Llechwedd near Blaenau Ffestiniog and is still produced at Penrhyn? We keep hoping that one of the U3As from Wales will join us, but they haven't done so yet. Number 6. Which Neolithic settlement did a storm uncover in 1850 on the island of Mainland in Orkney? Which Neolithic settlement did a storm uncover in 1850 on the island whose name is Mainland on Orkney? Number 7. By what alternative name is the River Thames known as it passes through Oxford? By what alternative name is the River Thames known as it passes through Oxford? Question number 8. Which pair of islands off the coast of County Cork host a wide variety of seabirds, with the smaller of the two having one of the largest colonies of gannets in the world? Which pair of islands off the coast of County Cork host a wide variety of seabirds, with the smaller of the two having one of the largest colonies of northern gannets in the world? I'll just take the two, you don't need to name the two individual islands, just what they're known as collectively. Question number 9. What medieval human activity created the Norfolk Broads? What medieval human activity created the Norfolk Broads? Is the speed okay? Not going too fast for anybody? No, nobody's complaining yet anyway. So number 10, what type of natural feature is the grey mare's tail in Dumfries and Galloway? What type of natural feature is the grey mare's tail in Dumfries and Galloway? Now, that's the end of round 1. So if any team would like any question repeated, please unmute yourself and ask, and I'll repeat them.
Can I just say to Kerry and Douglas, I haven't got the phone link, guys, at the moment.
Oh dear. Maybe you could use private chat with them then.
Ian, what was number 8 again?
Number 8 is which pair of islands off the coast of County Cork host a wide variety of seabirds, with the smaller of the two having one of the largest colonies of northern gannets in the world? Anyone else? Are we ready for the answers then? Yes, no? Thumbs up if you are.
we can't communicate at the moment.
Oh
So
dear. You can use the private chat.
I would if I knew how to.
Can I put on my Zoom tutor hat?
I was go
All
on
right,
then,
Linda was just going to do that.
I was just going to do the same,
Yeah.
but on you go. You're the tutor.
Across the bottom, or if you've got a laptop, across the bottom, you should either have the word chat itself or more. And if you click, if you've not got the word chat, if you click on the three dots above more, you'll get the opportunity to chat. And you make sure that you've got the name of the person you want to speak to, not everyone, just the person you want to speak to. Because if you put everyone, everybody knows
What your answer is.
The problem is it's the whole team that's
Yeah.
the four.
You can unfortunately you can only send a chat message to one person, one particular
Time, yeah.
person, or to everybody. Yeah. Like we tried that the first time and we got away with it, but it wasn't the best.
No, it's not
That's
the best. But if your phone's not working, it's better than nothing.
It's an alternative. It just means everybody has to get their answer to you, to the team leader, rather than discuss it among themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the team leader then has to make a decision.
Make a decision. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, I'll mute again.
Thank you.
Can I use a friend of Mr. Google?
No.
Only joking. Only joking.
Are we ready for the answers then?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Here, unless Douglas, are you okay for me to go ahead with the answers?
I went and muted him again because he was on the phone.
Yes, I know.
Yeah. So I think you'll just have to assume he's ready.
I think we shall. Okay, the answers are as follows. The lengthy river which rises on the eastern slope of Plinlimmon is the River Severn. Number 2, the first national park in Ireland, created in 1932, is Killarney National Park. Number 3, the Scottish island on which you could visit the Coolin Mountains is Skye. Number 4, the most southerly point on mainland Britain is Lizard Point in Cornwall. Number 5, the natural resource mined at Llecwed and at Penryn is slate. Number 6, the Neolithic settlement on Orkney is Scarabray. Number 7, the River Thames is known as the Isis as it passes through Oxford. And if you watch the boat race, you'll find that the reserve team boat is called Isis from the University of Oxford. Number 8, the pair of islands off the coast of County Cork with those birds are the Skelligs, S-K-E-L-L-I-G, Skellig Michael and Little Skellig. Number 9, the medieval human activity which created the Norfolk Broads was the digging of peat. And number 10, the Grey Mare's tail is a waterfall. So if the team organizer for each team would like to add up your score and then by private chat, send your score to Linda. We'll give you a moment or two and then I'll go on to round 2. Okay, are we ready for round 2? We are ready for round 2. I think nobody's saying no. So round 2 is animals. And question 1, which breed of cat has the characteristic of going limp when picked up? And in fact, that characteristic has given the cat its name. Which breed of cat has the characteristic of going limp when picked up? And no, it doesn't mean the cat's dead.
They go stiff when they're dead.
True. Question 2. The scaly anteater is another name for the only mammal to be covered with scales. What is its proper name? The scaly anteater is another name for the only mammal to be covered with scales. What is its proper name? Number 3. In 1975, which animal was declared to be the official national animal of Canada? In 1975, which animal was declared to be the official national animal of Canada? Number 4. Andalusian, Haflinger, and Poitevin are all breeds of which domesticated animal? Andalusian, Haflinger, and Poitevin are all breeds of which domesticated animal? If anyone wants any of them spelled, just let me know and I'll spell them out for you. Okay. Number 5. Alligators are native to only 2 countries. The United States of America is one. What is the other? Alligators are native to only 2 countries. The USA is one. What is the other? Question number 6. To which island are ring-tailed lemurs endemic? To which island are ring-tailed lemurs endemic? Number 7. The South American vicuña, V-I-C-U-N with a tilde over it, and A, is the smallest member of which animal family? The South American vicuña is the smallest member of which animal family? Number 8. Which body part of a rodent never stops growing? Which body part of a rodent never stops growing? That actually influences their behavior. Number 9. What is the familiar name of the small mongoose, also known as a suricate, S-U-R-I-C-A-T-E, found in southern Africa? What is the more familiar name of the small mongoose called also known as a suricate, found in southern Africa? And question 10, what does an animal have if it is described as ungulate? U-N-G-U-L-A-T-E. What does an animal have if it is described as ungulate? And once again, if any team would like a question read again, please let me know.
Could I have number 1 again, please?
You certainly could. Which breed of cat has the characteristic of going limp when it is picked up? Anyone else? Are we ready for the answers? Yes, no? Yes? Okay. Nobody is saying no, therefore I'll take it the answer is yes. So the breed of cat, which is a characteristic of going limp when picked up, is called the ragdoll. Number 2, the scaly anteater is another name for the only mammal to be covered with scales. Its proper name is the pangolin, P-A-N-G-O-L-I-N. Number 3, in 1975, the animal declared to be the official national animal of Canada was the beaver. It's also the first animal to appear on a Canadian postage stamp. Number 4, Andalusian, Haflinger and Poitevin are breeds of horse. Number 5, alligators are native to the USA and to China. Number 6, ring-tailed lemurs are native to Madagascar. Number 7, the South American vicuña is the smallest member of the camel family. Number 8, the body part of a rodent which never stops growing are its teeth, which means it has to keep gnawing the whole time to grind them down. Otherwise, apparently they would grow right up into the brain and kill it. Number 9, the familiar name of the small mongoose, also known as a suricate, found in southern Africa, has become a very familiar name in the last few years, meerkat. And number 10, if an animal is described as an ungulate, it has hooves. So once again, if the teams could add up their scores and send them by private message to, or private chat to Linda. Now, I'm just going to nip through to the other room for a moment and see Linda and ask her a question. Back in a moment. Okay, I think we're ready for round 3. So we'll move on to round 3. At the end of the last quiz, one of the teams, I don't know which one, I can't remember, said too much music, not enough sport. So this time, I don't usually put sports rounds in, but here's a sports and games round. But don't expect us to be asking you lots and lots of things about Premier League football teams, because it ain't going to happen. So Question number 1 on sports and games. On what shape of playing field does Australian rules football take place? On what shape of playing field does Australian rules football take place? If you know anything about Australia, you might know that the name comes up quite frequently in the name of the ground in which they're held. Number 2, in which year did the Olympic Games feature the women's heptathlon rather than pentathlon for the first time? You may remember Mary Peters winning the women's pentathlon, but in what year did the Olympic Games feature the women's heptathlon with 7 events instead of pentathlon with 5 events for the first time? You don't need to tell me where the Olympic Games were held, just let's try to get the year. But the clue is it's after Mary Peters. Number 3, which card game originally developed in Uruguay takes its name from the Spanish word for basket? Which card game originally developed in Uruguay takes its name from the Spanish word for basket? Question 4, what colour are the most expensive properties on a Monopoly board? What colour are the most expensive properties on a Monopoly board? Question 5. In which video game released in 1980, nearly said 1880 there, that was a bit much, released in 1980 for the Japanese company Namco, were there 4 characters called Inky, Blinky, Pinky, and Clyde? In which video game released in 1980 for the Japanese company Namco were there 4 characters called Inky, Blinky, Pinky, and Clyde? It's a very, very well-known game. Question number 6. Which sporting trophy was stolen in 1983 and has never been recovered? Which sporting trophy was stolen in 1983 and has never been recovered? Number 7. What name is given to bumps, natural or created artificially, on a ski slope, which have given their name to a genre of skiing competition? What name is given to bumps, natural or created artificially on a ski slope, which have given their name to a genre of Olympic competition? Of skiing competition. It does appear in the Winter Olympics. So what name is given to bumps, natural or created artificially on a ski slope, which have given their name to a genre of skiing competition? Number 8, and I knew somebody who benefited from this. In 1996, which jockey rode all 7 winning horses at a meeting at Ascot, costing bookmakers an estimated £40 million? In 1996, which jockey rode all 7 winning horses at Ascot, costing bookmakers an estimated £40 million. And I knew somebody who had a fiver on it and he wished he had put 500 on it. Number 9. In ice hockey, what term is used to describe a player sending the puck from his or her own half past the opponent's goal line without it being touched and without scoring a goal? In ice hockey, what term is used to describe a player sending the puck from her or his own half of the rink past the opponent's goal line without its being touched or scoring a goal? When it happens, the game is stopped and restarted back where the player was, or near where the player was. And finally, number 10, in what game was the Hungarian Judit, Judit Polgar, the first and so far the only woman to qualify for a World Championship tournament and to obtain a top 10 rating? In what game was the Hungarian Judit Polgar the first and so far the only woman to qualify for a World Championship tournament and to obtain a top 10 rating? Now, any question requiring repeated, please let me know.
2, please.
Number 2, in what year did the Olympic Games feature the women's heptathlon with 7 events instead of the pentathlon with 5 events for the first time?
Okay. Can I ask a question, please?
Sorry?
Can I ask a question?
Sorry, I missed that. Linda was asking me something.
All right, just one question. Can we have the music rather than the sport, please?
Oh, I can arrange that. Linda has just suggested I check with you. Is the speed okay? Are you getting enough time between questions?
But a wee bit slower could do. Could I also have number 3 as well, please, Ian?
You can have number 3, and I'm quite happy to make it a bit slower in between. Number 3 is, which card game, originally developed in Uruguay, takes its name from the Spanish word for basket?
Number 10, please, Ian.
Number 10, in what game was the Hungarian Judit Polgar the first and so far the only woman to qualify for a World Championship tournament and to obtain a top 10 rating? Somebody's not muted. I think you all are now. I'll give you a moment or two. It looks as though some of the teams are still conversing. Are we ready for the answers yet? Anyone want more time? Looks as though we're now ready. So here we go. Question 1. The shape of the playing field for an Australian rules football, which is actually reflected in the name of the ground sometimes, is oval. They play it on places like the Adelaide Oval and various other ovals, often doubling as cricket pitches. Number 2, the first year in which the women's heptathlon took place instead of the pentathlon was at the Los Angeles Games in 1984? Number 3, the card game originally developed in Uruguay, which is from the Spanish word for basket, is canasta. Number 4, the most expensive properties on a Monopoly board are dark blue. You have to have the dark because there's another set that's a paler blue. Number 5, the video game, which included Inky, Blinky, Pinky, and Clyde. They were the 4 ghosts in Pac-Man. Number 6, the sporting trophy stolen in 1983 and never recovered. Well, it had been stolen before. It's the U3A trophy, or the original Football World Cup. It was stolen from the Brazil FA headquarters and has never been seen since. Number 7, the bumps, whether natural or artificial on a ski slope, which have given their name to a genre of skiing competition, are moguls, M-O-G-U-L-S. Number 8, the jockey who ran through the card at Ascot was Frankie Dettori. Number 9, if a player sends the puck from their own end into beyond the opponent's goal line, it is called icing the puck. And the game is stopped and brought back to the other team, to the original team's half. And finally, Judith Polgar was the first woman to qualify for the Chess World Championship tournament. So, if you could again add your scores and then send them to Linda, and I'll get Linda, once she's had a chance to gather them, to share the scores for rounds 1 and 2 with us. So we'll have a wee pause while Linda gets organised and shares the current scores for rounds 1 and 2. Here we come. Well, some very high scores there. And Saltburn, who were last month's champions, are in the lead, closely followed by West Lothian and Wigan, and not far behind them, Evesham and Kings Hill.
We lost.
Could you all just check and make sure that Linda has the right scores for you? Okay. Saltburn are in the lead at the moment.
I can't believe somebody got 10.
Or at least after the first 2 rounds, Saltburn are in the lead. Now I have a bit of fun. Whether you will or not, time will tell. Because I'm introducing a new form of round here, and I need to explain it quite carefully to you. It's called Who Am I? And what I'm going to do is there are 2 individuals that I have come up with, and I'm going to give you 5 clues to their identity. If you can get the identity after only 1 clue, you will score 10 points. After 2 clues, 9 points. After 3 clues, 8 points. After 4 clues, 7 points. And if after 5 clues, you get 5 points. However, and this is the bit that's a tricky bit, each team only gets 1 guess. What you will do is when you think you are sure and really sure that you have identified the individual, you send Linda a private chat message with your team name and the name of the person that you think I am looking for. If you get it right, you get the appropriate number of points. If you get it wrong, you will score 0 for that person. Is that clear?
I hope it's clear to me.
So if it's after clue 1, 10 points, clue 2, 9, clue 3, 8, clue 4, 7, or clue 5, 5, but you only get 1 chance to score it. If you guess after question 1 and you're right, you get 10. But if you guess after clue 1 and you're wrong, you're out of that part of the round, and you won't have a second chance to identify the person.
And if they don't get it at all, what do they get?
Well, if they don't get it at all, obviously they're not going to score any points, because you only get 5 points if you get the person right,
Okay.
even after the 5 clues. Does anyone have any questions about how it works?
Sorry, yeah, sorry, can you guess that again?
I've just sent you a query in chat, Ian.
Oh, right. Oh, I shall very definitely be going very, very slowly with this one. Yes, I will be giving you lots of time between clues.
Wait, he's not offering you a fiver for the answers, is he?
No, he has simply said, can we go very slowly with this one so we can confer? Yes, absolutely. Because you don't want to take a risk too early and find that you've lost all the possible points for that half of the round. I mean, this round there are 2 people, therefore there are 20 points available. I'll be quite surprised if anybody gets a 20, but because the first clue's not all that revealing. But as you go through it, I do expect some people to be scoring 8s, and you never know, the odd 9 maybe for each of the 2 people. So if we're ready, I'll start with clue number 1. Clue number 1 for person number 1. I was born on the 7th of November, 1879, in a small village in what is now Ukraine. That's clue 1. I was born on the 7th of November, 1879, in a small village in what is now Ukraine. Now, I'll give you a little while to think about it. But please don't guess wildly, because if you do and you're wrong, you'll lose all the points for this person. Because Linda will either write a number or 0 against your team name after you text her, after you send the chat. I'll repeat the clue again. I was born on the 7th of November, 1879, in a small village in what is now Ukraine. Wow! Uh-oh. Somebody has got a 0 then, and somebody has got 10. And I don't know which is which. So there you go. Whoever got that right on that clue, that's a very fast answer. You know your stuff very well, whoever that was. Are we ready for clue 2? It is lucky you remember the answer. Does anyone else wish to have a guess? Linda says we now have 2 right answers. That really surprises me. That's a cracking level of knowledge. I wouldn't have got that if somebody had asked me it. Sorry? Another correct one. That's 3 correct so far. That's putting the pressure on everybody else. Does anyone else want to have a go at this, or shall I move on to clue 2? I'll take it that as nobody is indicating, I'll move on to clue 2. Well, clue 2 is, in 1896, I became involved in revolutionary activities, and in 1900, I was exiled with my wife to Siberia for 4 years. In 1896, I became involved in revolutionary activities, and in 1900, I was exiled with my wife to Siberia for 4 years. Again, a pause. See if any team manages that hasn't already answered would like to send Linda a message now. She's got a wee smile on her face, so somebody sent her something. Whether it's right or not, wrong, I don't know.
Wrong.
Oh dear, that's a 0 for somebody.
And another one.
Oh dear. Don't rush it, because it's either 9 or 0 for this one.
Any more?
Okay, I'll assume that there are going to be no more answers to Linda after clue 2 and move on to clue 3. Clue 3, I became chairman of the St. Petersburg Soviet and was sentenced to Siberian exile for a second time in 1906, but escaped and went to London and then Vienna. I became chairman of the St. Petersburg Soviet and was sentenced to Siberian exile for a second time in 1906, but escaped and went to London and then Vienna. Once again, a wee pause to let people have a go if they think they've identified our person.
I'm afraid you're only allowed one guess.
You're only allowed one guess. If you've guessed and been wrong, you've got 0. It's 8 or 0 if you send a message to Linda this time, but if you already sent her one, you can't have another go. I said that at the beginning.
We have 3 teams still not given an answer.
Okay, would those 3 teams likely to move on to clue number 4? Okay, clue number 4, this time it's 7 points or 0. After the October Revolution, I became Commissar for Foreign Affairs and took a leading part in negotiating the Treaty of Brest-Litovsk, which took Russia out of the First World War. Later, I was responsible for reorganizing the Red Army into an efficient fighting unit. After the October Revolution, I became Commissar for Foreign Affairs and took a leading part in negotiating the Treaty of Brest-Litovsk, which took Russia out of the First World War. Later, I was responsible for reorganizing the Red Army into an efficient fighting force. So if you send Linda a message this time, it's 7 or 0. Tell you what, can I ask the 3 teams that are left, will you please send Linda a message saying next clue if you don't want to send one now, if you don't want to answer it now? Only one left now. Well, will that team please tell Linda if they want the final clue? Or for that matter, just send it to me. It doesn't matter. And there is one clue left. Okay, I'll give the final clue, and this time it's 5 points if you get it right and 0 if you get it wrong. After Lenin's death, I criticized Stalin and was exiled to Turkey. But after various intermediate destinations, I settled in Mexico, where I was murdered by an agent of Stalin in 1940. After Lenin's death, I criticized Stalin and was exiled to Turkey. But after various intermediate destinations, I settled in Mexico, where I was murdered by an agent of Stalin in 1940. Using an ice pick. Do you now have an answer from all teams, Linda? Okay. In that case, I'll reveal that the answer was he was born Lev Davidovich Bronstein, but is better known to history as Leon Trotsky.
Did you get anything for guessing the last clue? For guessing what the last clue was going to be?
No. He always wants something for nothing, that man. Always. Okay, if we're ready, we'll move on to person 2. Person 2, I was born on the 21st of December 1937 in New York City. I was born on the 21st of December 1937 in New York City. If anybody's wanting to take a go and risk all 10 points or nothing, then now's the time to send it to Linda. But I'll give you a moment or two to think and consult.
I might have to think. I can't think who it is. Of course. Silly me.
And Linda had heard these before. So, anybody looking for the 10 points and risking the whole lot? Doesn't look like it. Okay, then I'll move on to clue 2. Clue 2 is I made my stage debut in 1960, being nominated for a Tony Award, and my screen debut later in the same year. I made my stage debut in 1960, being nominated for a Tony Award, and my screen debut later in the same year. Anybody thinks they know who that was? And are willing to risk the 0 in order to obtain 9 points? Send a private chat to Linda. Well done. One correct answer. Okay, shall I move on to clue number 3? Clue number 3 is, I rose to prominence in the mid-1960s, playing a range of roles from romantic comedy to a psychological drama set in the Depression years. I rose to prominence in the mid-1960s, playing a range of roles from romantic comedy to a psychological drama set in the Depression years. 8 points or 0 if you send your chat to Linda. You can have a few moments to think, as long as you like to think. My guess is that most teams will get it on clue 4 if you don't get it in clue 3. That was number 3. So if anybody gets it right, they get 8 points. If they get it wrong, of course, they get 0. Shall I move on to clue 4? Looks that way. Clue 4 is I became a controversial figure because of my political activism during the Vietnam War. In later years, I became a strong supporter of feminist causes. I became a controversial figure because of my political activism during the Vietnam War. In later years, I became a strong supporter of feminist causes. You probably got a deluge of entries now, Linda. Does any team want? Are there any teams not yet sent in their answers?
We haven't.
Okay. Do you want clue 5?
Yeah, we can have question 5.
Okay. Clue 5 is I have had 7 Oscar nominations, winning 2 in the 1970s. After a period of retirement, I returned to the screen in 2005 and in 2015 took a lead role in a television series about 2 women left when their husbands reveal they are in love with each other. That is the husbands. I have had 7 Oscar nominations, winning twice during the 1970s. After a period of retirement, I returned to the screen in 2005 and in 2015 took a lead role in a television series about two women left when their husbands reveal they are in love with each other.
A brilliant program, that is. Loved it.
Have you had an answer from everybody yet?
No, still waiting on Airheads.
Okay, we'll wait for them.
It's already sent.
Oh, yep, just now here. Yes. Sorry. Must have crossed in the ether.
Okay, the answer to this one then, now that all the answers are in, the answer was Jane Fonda. And just as a matter of interest, the role that she played in the psychological drama set in the Depression years was in the film They Shoot Horses, Don't They?, which was about dance marathons in the 1930s, when unemployed and desperate people tried to last out on a dance floor for as long as they could, sometimes for a couple of weeks at a time. The last one standing won the prize. It's quite a dramatic film, that one. Okay, so that was Jane Fonda. Now, are you ready, Linda, given the fact you got those answers, are you ready to share the totals to date?
Well, no, because I need to add them up and put them in, but I can show you up to the
I'll
end
do
of
round
round
5 and then you can show.
Okay.
Round 5 is on entertainment. And question 1 is, who was the only actor to appear in all 251 episodes of MASH? Who was the only actor to appear in all 251 episodes of MASH? Okay, I don't see much more discussion taking place, so I'll move on to question 2. In the original stage version of Evita, who played the role of Che Guevara? The original London stage version of Evita, who played the role of Che Guevara? We're ready, I'll give you number 3. Number 3 is, in Absolutely Fabulous, what is the name of Edina's daughter? In Absolutely Fabulous, what is the name of Edina's daughter? Not the actress, the character's name. There's still 1 or 2 conversations going on. I'll leave it a moment. Number 4. Which animated television show featured the characters Brian, Florence, and Ermintrude? Which animated television show featured the characters Brian, Florence, and Ermintrude? Number 5. First opened in 1904, in which major city is the Abbey Theatre? First opened in 1904, in which major city is the Abbey Theatre? Okay, number 6. Which singer was the subject of the 2007 biographical film La Vie en Rose, the title referring to one of her songs? Which singer was the subject of the 2007 biographical film La Vie en Rose, the title referring to one of her songs? Number 7. Which comedian, actress and singer featured in the BBC series A Kick Up the 80s and 3 of a Kind before reaching the top 10 with a series of hits, including a cover of Kirsty MacColl's They Don't Know in 1983? Which comedian, actress and singer featured in the BBC series A Kick Up the 80s and 3 of a Kind before reaching the top 10 with a series of hits, including a cover of Kirsty MacColl's They Don't Know in 1983? And the video for the song featured Neil Kinnock, the then Labour leader. Question number 8. You might very well think that I couldn't possibly comment was a saying associated with which character in a trilogy of novels and television drama series of the 1990s? I don't want the name of the actor, I want the name of the character. You might very well think that I couldn't possibly comment was a saying associated with which character in a trilogy of novels and television drama series of the 1990s. Okay, if we're ready for number 9. Which science fiction series from 1953 is about the first manned flight into space in which the astronauts are taken over by an alien that threatens to destroy all life on Earth? It was the first science fiction television program written for adults. Which science fiction series from 1953 is about the first manned flight into space in which the astronauts are taken over by an alien that threatens to destroy all life on Earth? It was the first science fiction television program written for adults. And although it was in black and white, it scared lots of people stiff. And if we're ready for question 10, by what combined name are Tony Singh and Cyrus Todiwala known? They presented a 2013 television series about adapting traditional British recipes to provide new taste experiences. By what combined name are Tony Singh and Cyrus Todiwala known? They presented a 2013 television series on adapting British recipes, traditional British recipes, to provide new taste experiences. And one of the funniest was when they attempted to change the afternoon tea for a women's rural institute in, I think, East Anglia.
What was the second name, please? Tony Singh and
Cyrus Todiwala, Todiwala.
thank you.
As you can imagine, they're both chefs. Does anyone want a question repeated?
Ian, the whole of number 10 again, please. I'm sorry.
I'll give you that. Yep. By what combined name, that is, so it was the name of the television program, are Tony Singh and Cyrus Todiwala known? They presented a 2013 television series on adapting traditional British recipes to provide new taste experiences. We thoroughly enjoyed the program, and enough that we bought the book that went along with it, and it's sitting upstairs in our shelves, and occasionally it's brought down to try a recipe. Does anyone want any of the questions repeated? I'll tell you what, before I give the answers, Linda, would you like to share with us the scores up to and including round 4? Wow, some very high scores there. You just move that out of the way. So Saltburn just in the lead from Wigan, and then a bit of a gap. And then we have a whole group of teams very close together. But right now, it's close between Saltburn and Wigan in particular. Thank you, Linda. Again, I'll tell you what, before you take it away, could people check, please, and see that their scores are recorded as they think they should be? Okay, then I'll give you the answers for round 5. Question 1, the only actor to appear in all the episodes of MASH was Alan Alda, who played Captain Hawkeye Pierce. Number 2, in the original London stage version of Evita, Che Guevara was played by David Essex. Number 3, in Absolutely Fabulous, Edina's daughter was called Saffron or Safi. Number 4, Brian, Florence and Ermintrude were from the Magic Roundabout. Number 5, the Abbey Theatre is in Dublin. Number 6, the singer, the subject of La Vie en Rose was Edith Piaf. Number 7, the comedian, actress and singer who featured in A Kick Up the 80s and Three of a Kind before becoming a pop star was Tracy Ullman. Number 8, you might very well think that, I couldn't possibly comment, was said by Francis Urquhart in House of Cards, played by Ian Richardson. Number 9, the science fiction series from 1953 was The Quatermass Experiment. And finally, Tony Singh and Cyrus Todiwala are the Incredible Spice Men. So again, if you could add up your scores and send them back to Linda, and this time we'll pause long enough for Linda to gather the scores and share the current total before we go on to the final round. And having looked at the last scores there, the first 4, I think that those who guessed wrongly on either of the 2 Who Am I ones have made a difference, because those that got them right, of course, are the ones that are doing best now. And maybe 1 or 2 teams might have punished themselves a wee bit there.
Do I have Bingham's score? Bingham, come in, Bingham. Ah, there we go. Thank you. Sorry, we're just waiting for that one.
It's okay. Not going anywhere.
I think we could have a round on famous Scottish goalkeepers without back problems.
Well, you've given me an opening to just share a wee reminiscence with you. I was once at a match which ended up, a Scottish Premier League match, which ended up 5-6. And the 2 goalkeepers concerned were Jim Leighton and Andy Gorham. And the score ended up Motherwell 5, Aberdeen 6. Which was with 2 international goalkeepers. Not that was their fault. The defences in front of them just fell apart.
Yeah. Well, Jim Leighton went on to be Man U, didn't he?
Sorry?
Jim Leighton went on to play for Man U.
Oh, this was after he had played for Man U. He was back at Aberdeen by this time.
Oh, right. He was on the downward slope.
He was on the downward slope by then, yeah.
Who's the famous Partick Thistle goalkeeper?
Alan Ruff.
Alan Ruff, yeah.
I speak to Partick Thistle fans, so be very careful what you say.
Well, we used to call him Teflon, non-stick hands.
That's right. He was a wonderful keeper.
Linda has the scores, so we'll stop the football banter and get the scores. Oh, still only a point between them.
So what's the,
Saltburn just ahead of Wigan, then Epping, then Dagenham, then West Lothian.
they're out? Yes.
Very high scores in that round. Okay, all to play for then. Now, if you remember, last month, Saltburn won the quiz on a tie-break. I have a tie-break with me in case it becomes necessary again. So here we go with round 6, general knowledge. Question 1. The group Wet, Wet, Wet was formed by 4 school friends in which Scottish town? The group Wet, Wet, Wet was formed by 4 school friends in which Scottish town? Now, Marty Pellow and his crew. Question number 2. First published in 1995, whose autobiography was entitled Long Walk to Freedom? First published in 1995, whose autobiography was entitled Long Walk to Freedom? Question number 3. First created in 1890, what kind of craftwork are matryoshkas? Matryoshkas. First created in 1890, what kind of craftwork are, or just simply what are, they are a type of craftwork. What are matryoshkas? Question number 4. In 1956, which area in Wales was the first in the UK to be designated an area of outstanding natural beauty? In 1956, which area in Wales was the first in the UK to be designated an area of outstanding natural beauty? And I'm going to just give you a clue. It's not Snowdonia. In 1956, which area in Wales was the first in the UK to be designated an area of outstanding natural beauty? Question number 5. If we're ready for that. Born in Norwich in 1780, which woman became a leading advocate of prison reform and opponent of capital punishment, was admired by Queen Victoria, and influenced politicians such as Sir Robert Peel? Born in Norwich in 1780, which woman became a leading advocate of prison reform and opponent of capital punishment, was admired by Queen Victoria, and influenced politicians such as Sir Robert Peel? Number 6. Menudo, M-E-N-U-D-O, is a soup made with a cow's stomach in the cuisine of which country? Menudo, M-E-N-U-D-O, is a soup made with a cow's stomach in the cuisine of which country? Are we ready? Okay, then we'll move on to number 7. Which jazz singer of the 40s, 50s, and 60s, whose biggest hits were Mountain Greenery and Coming Home Baby, was nicknamed the Velvet Fog? Which jazz singer of the 40s, 50s, and 60s, whose biggest British hits were Mountain Greenery and Coming Home Baby, was nicknamed the Velvet Fog? Number 8. The fandango and the malagueña are styles within which art form incorporating music and dance and associated especially with Andalusia in southern Spain? The fandango and the malagueña are styles within which art form incorporating music and dance and associated especially with Andalusia in southern Spain? Okay, number 9. Blepharitis, spelled B-L-E-P-H-A-R-I-T-I-S, blepharitis, is inflammation of the edge of which specific part of the human body? And you're going to have to be very specific. Blepharitis, B-L-E-P-H-A-R-I-T-I-S, is inflammation of the edge of which specific part of the human body? And finally, number 10, which Renaissance Italian painter created the paintings Primavera and The Birth of Venus, both housed in the Uffizi Gallery in Florence? Which Renaissance Italian painter created the paintings Primavera, which means spring, and The Birth of Venus, both housed in the Uffizi Gallery in Florence? And again, I invite you, if anyone wishes a question repeated, please ask.
Yeah. Ian, please could you repeat question number 8?
I can. The fandango and the malagueña are styles within which art form incorporating music and dance and associated especially with Andalusia in southern Spain? Anyone else want one repeated? I'll still give you a moment or two to discuss your answers in case anyone hasn't made up their minds on anything yet.
Ian, can you
Yes.
repeat number 6, please? Number 6.
Number 6, Menudo, M-E-N-U-D-O, is a soup made with a cow's stomach in the cuisine of which country?
It's Mexico. Spelling.
Thank you.
Somebody wasn't muted there and gave an answer. Whether it's right or not, I'm not commenting.
Well, can they please repeat it? Because I didn't hear it.
No.
France.
That's called distraction technique.
And number 3 again, please.
Number 3, first created in 1890, matryoshkas are a kind of craftwork. What are they? M-A-T-R-Y-O-S-H-K-A-S. Matryoshkas.
Could we have number 7, please?
You could. Which jazz singer of the 40s, 50s and 60s, whose biggest British hits were Mountain Greenery and Coming Home Baby, was nicknamed the Velvet Fog? I remember listening to Coming Home Baby on Radio Luxembourg late on Sunday nights during the Top 20 programme. But even for me, Mountain Greenery was a wee bit earlier and I didn't hear that until it had been around for a few years. Any other repeats wanted? Our team is ready with their answers. Should I go ahead? Okay, here are the answers then. Question 1, the group Wet 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 was formed by 4 school friends in the town of Clydebank. In fact, they were all pupils at Clydebank High School. Number 2, the person whose autobiography was entitled Long Walk to Freedom was Nelson Mandela. Number 3, matryoshkas are sets of nesting Russian dolls. Number 4, the area in Wales that was the first in the UK to be designated an area of outstanding natural beauty was the Gower Peninsula. Number 5, the lady born in Norwich in 1780, who was a leading advocate of prison reform and opponent of capital punishment, was Elizabeth Fry. Number 6, the person who spoke without muting said Mexico and was right for the soup. Menudo is a Mexican soup. Number 7, the jazz singer of the 40s, 50s and 60s was Mel Torme. Number 8, the fandango or malagueña are styles within flamenco. Oh, we've got a little mime of that going on there. That's okay, yeah. Got a performance later, maybe. Number 9, and you must be specific here, blepharitis is inflammation of the edge of the eyelid, not the eye, the eyelid. And number 10, the Renaissance painter who created Primavera and the Birth of Venus was Sandro Botticelli. So again, if you could add up your team scores and send them to Linda through the private chat,
Do you get an extra point for having his first name?
No, I'm just quite happy with Botticelli, thank you. And then I'll find out whether I'm using my tiebreak or not. That would be fun. I've got a very good tiebreak that was suggested by Linda.
I see you're not wearing it tonight, though, Ian.
The tiebreak? No, that's all very good. Just to annoy you, Douglas, I'll put my Motherwell supporters tie on one next time.
I thought Swinging Blue Jeans were the first number ones on Top of the Pops, but it was Rusty Springbolt with You Don't Have to Say You Love Me.
Ah, there you go.
There you go. I really had that in my mind and I looked it up.
But the first
For those of you who are puzzled by that comment, there was an Air U3A quiz on Monday, and one of the questions related to the group, the Swinging Blue Jeans, and Douglas and I had a slight disagreement over a song that they had performed. I was right.
They
I think the
came and
first song on
performed
Top
at
of the
Hamilton,
Pops was the
performed
Rolling
at Hamilton
Stones.
Town Hall on a sort of trying to do a revival after they had faded away a wee bit.
Uh-huh.
I went, it was they used to call them jazz dances, but no, it wasn't in the Hamilton Town Hall, it was Bellshill Institute.
Okay. You saw the Swinging Blue Jeans there, did you?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
I'm missing a mark for Ashford, I think.
If you have sent it, could you send it again, please?
Yeah.
Ah, thank you. Right, just a tick then, and I'll put them into the spreadsheet. Talk amongst yourselves about football.
People are free to unmute and talk about anything they like now.
Suggestions for rounds next time?
Well, absolutely. Suggestions for themes for rounds next time would be very welcome.
Music, 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 and music, please. And round 5, music.
Sorry?
1970s prog rock would be excellent, please.
No.
I think that's a little specific.
Okay, the band 3
That's
would be
maybe a
excellent.
specialised round for somebody in Mastermind.
Yeah, the Led Zeppelin or 3 would be the bee's knees.
No. We're unmuted.
None of this folk music stuff, we don't know.
Basically, no more round 4s.
Oh, you don't want any more like that?
No.
I never liked them when you gave them before, Ian, and they've not grown to love them yet. But then again, I'll probably get them again some other time, so we'll see.
You probably will.
Okay.
We people south of the border are feeling a bit of a loss with all the Scottish questions. Sorry.
Well, actually, I was very, very careful to make sure there was a balance between Scotland, England, Ireland, and Wales.
Yes, I noticed that.
And I can tell you,
very careful. There is not a Scottish bias in this quiz.
I actually questioned it at one point because I'm English. So
Could we have a translator though to translate from Scottish
I
to
actually
English?
counted them up to make sure.
who was having feedback.
Ian, can I come in?
Yeah.
Linda, you're causing a feedback.
Not Linda, she's muted.
As all women should be.
Oh, what? Oh, naughty. That's disgusting.
Nasty but
Sexism isn't
true.
allowed in the U3A.
Ever heard the phrase yellow card?
Red.
Liz, just waiting for the end.
I think Linda's
Yeah. Lindsay put enjoyed it, but would be better if we got together next time if it's allowed.
Here we go with the final result.
I started sharing.
Oh, 1 point victory. So they're crowned.
Get across.
In second, Epping third, Dagenham fourth.
Meter.
Well, if ever there's evidence that it's not a Scottish bias, the fact that the top 5 teams are all from England is something is pretty strong evidence.
Excuse me.
Look,
The second team is Scottish.
We're not last.
I'm quite pleased actually at that because the way the scores have worked out, the total possible scores are 70. And I'm delighted that we've got 2 teams above 60 and another 2 above 50, and everybody's
He's muted. Ian's muted himself, or someone's muted Ian.
There's somebody.
I've just unmuted myself.
Echoing and echoing and echoing.
So I'm really pleased that we've got teams scoring very high scores indeed, and congratulations, Saltburn. That's 2 months in a row that you've won it, but Wigan, you've pushed them very, very close indeed. And nobody has done badly. I'm pleased at that. All the scores are very respectable. So that's good. And those that have scored around the 50, 48, 46, 45, 44 mark, that was at least in part, I think, to taking a gamble on round 4 and it coming unstuck.
Yeah, it would have been in the 50s apart from that.
Yeah, I think a few teams might have been in the 50s apart from that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so thank you very much, everyone, and
Thank
congratulations,
you.
Saltburn. I'll
No.
now be able to keep my tie-break question in case I need it